Welcome to a Ragamuffin Archive Revisited special event, Alternate Job, a 10th anniversary celebration. On November 12, 2013, Rick Elias released what would turn out to be his final album, a musical and lyrical powerhouse of a record called Job. Despite receiving less publicity than some of his other projects, those of us who heard Job at that time knew right away that this record was a true masterpiece, and arguably Rick's greatest work. Tonight, we'll attempt to tell the story of the Job album by digging into some rare demos and work tapes from the project that Rick shared shortly before his untimely passing in 2019. These recordings will provide a fly-on-the-wall experience, giving us a unique look into Rick's creative process as we hear him working out new ideas and even referring to the songs by their working titles. But on top of that, thanks to a couple of interviews as well as a concert recording, we'll be able to hear from Rick himself on what drove him to make this concept record on suffering. And we'll even get some of his own insights on the songs. So join us for the next hour for Alternate Job, a 10th anniversary celebration.
Doya. I am for the mad ones laughing wild in the night while praying for the light, hanging on for dear life. Who am I? Do you know me? If you know, well then tell me, ring the suffering chimes. Tell me whose fate is mine. Do you feel like an angel upon in a fable, son of Joe, son of betrayal? There are no strangers at this table. I'm adrift, but I think I see a light, like a vigil held for my soul. But what could they know? Oh, my heart, take counsel, yes, dear heart, your own counsel, guard jealously. Oh, no one could be. Do you feel like an
Well, that was a demo for the opening track from the Job album, an absolutely tremendous album opener called Doya. Well, good evening, I'm Joe Cook, and welcome to this special edition of Ragamuffin Archive Revisited, celebrating the 10th anniversary of Rick Elias's Job album. And I really felt like it was important to mark this occasion because I think for Rick's fans, we all have our favorite albums of his. I know for a lot of folks, that's going to be his first record, Rick Elias and the Confessions. I mean, I know that album means so much to so many people. But for me, it's Blink. I was a teenager when the Blink record came out, played that album over and over and over. I quite literally wore it out. I mean, I had to replace it like twice. I'm not even kidding. Love that album. But all that said, I do really believe that his 2013 record, Job, is quite possibly Rick's greatest work. And for those of us who have long loved Rick and followed his music and his career, the Job album means a lot to us. But I've always felt like that record deserved way more attention than it actually got. And so it's my hope that by doing this episode, we'll first be able to honor Rick and those incredible songs that he created for this project, but also, hopefully, people will discover Job for the first time, and maybe the album will even gain a few new fans. Well, in a few minutes, we're going to hear the next song from the record, which is actually the title track. But first, here's a clip from an interview that Rick gave to fellow Ragamuffin Aaron Smith on Aaron's podcast Intersect back in 2017, where they discuss the song that you just heard, Doya, as well as discuss the guy who co-wrote both that song and the title track. Let's take a listen.
It's really good. That first lyric in Doya, I am for the mad ones, laughing while in the night, while praying for the light, hanging on for dear life. Man, yeah.
I co-wrote that with a dear friend of mine. He was my best friend growing up. His name is Luis Alberto Urrea. I got to say it like that. He's a professor at the University of Illinois, Chicago, and a Pulitzer Prize nominee. I think it was for Devil's Highway, but he's a fantastic author. And we're old friends, and we kind of went back and forth, old school, with lines. I would come up with a line, he would come up with a line. Yeah, I am for the mad ones. Laughing.
Yeah.
Wow. I really am,
But, man, I also like that instrumental section. It's got like a Beatlesque Beach Boys sort of thing going on there.
Yeah, I kind of gave myself permission to do whatever I wanted to do on the album musically. Back when, when we were making records for labels, you had to satisfy radio and retail and all these other people, marketing people. And hopefully you could stand your ground a bit and make something. But with this, it was, front loaded. It was a Kickstarter project. And I thought, well, I don't have to answer to anybody. I'm just going to make music. If it sounds good to me, I'm putting it on.
Right.
It's going, And I appreciate you saying that. That was one of my favorite parts of the album. I worked a long time on that. A lot of
I could hear it.
Singing and tracking and playing.
Yeah, and that bridge too. That bridge is great. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. And the last chord. What chord is that?
Yeah, that's a weird. I couldn't even tell you what that chord. I'd have to think about it and look at it on a guitar because I'm kind of detuned on the guitar. It's a jazz chord. It's like I don't know what that chord is. All I knew is I played it by accident once. And I went, okay, that's the last chord of the song. That's I'm not putting it anywhere else. It's right there.
Yeah, man, it's brilliant.
There's that open flatted five, flatted, third. So it's a bizarre chord. Yeah.
It's the icing on the cake. It couldn't have ended any other way.
Yeah, right. I kind of thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of builds up, and it kind of leaves a half line on the lyric. I'm still enough of a craftsman that when I look at something, I'm kind of looking for signs of intelligence in lyric, and I hope I'm composing accordingly. You know, rhyme scheme and how words flow, what they mean, what as you know, there's so much that goes into songwriting. You know, that if it was so simple, almost anybody could. And the weird thing is, almost anybody could write a very simple, catchy song. But when you really start delving into the craft of songwriting, you notice that there's, even in some of the simplest songs, there's a great deal of intelligence and craft involved in it. You know.
Well, Job is full of craft, my friend.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
It's craft.
I appreciate you saying that. You and a couple dozen other people concur, but they're all people I like and whose opinions I respect. So that makes me feel good.
Cool.
Devil, his hedges grow too high.
From the album's recording sessions, that was an early rough mix of the title track, Job, right there with some pretty prominent horns thrown in. Pretty cool stuff. Right now, we're going to dig back into Rick's work tapes to hear one of his early ideas for the next song on the album, a song that would eventually be called When It All Came Down.
All right, this is just kind of a different take on when the flood arrived, with the chorus kind of idea. I don't know what we're going to do here, but... Why do I always say something like that after I do it?
There's a thorn here in my flesh, and I'm fixing to tear it out, like a dog ripping at its stitches. I wonder what it's all about. With a wave of your hand, you rain down the blood of Cain, till all that never was all that remained, scouring all the stains of my heart. I watched the water rise as debris brought me to my knees. Under the weight of all my lies, I circled the drain like a spider going down to sea. I've been wise and I've been foolish, I've been kind and I've been cruel. I've been so many places, followed all the traces, but still I can't find you. But when the flood came down, it was just a drizzle that turned to rain, until the rain became a stream, the stream a river, an open vein, bleeding out across the lowlands, swallowing our summers and springs. Yeah, when the flood came down, it took everything. Now, baby, and I'll put on my Sunday best, and we'll ride downstream with the current, put this faith of ours to the test. Let's dance under the moonlight along the levee's edge, make love and curse the night like it's all we've got left. Let's drink to the sins of our fathers and pray for the rest. I've been wise as I've been foolish, I've been cruel and I've been kind. In the name of love, defiance, in your name let something survive. But when the flood came down, it was just a drizzle that turned to rain, until the rain became a stream, the stream a river, an open vein, bleeding out springs. Yeah, when the flood came down, it took everything. Oh, solo. All those southern honeysuckle winds that led the deluge to our door gave way to the dogs of winter and the northern sibling frigid howl. And our blood, once hot, soon ran cold, seeping into the earth below, up and over and over and over and underground. The water came down. But when the flood arrived, it was just a drizzle that turned to rain, until the rain became a stream, the stream a river, an open vein, leading out across the lowlands, swallowing our summers and springs. Yeah, when the flood arrived, it took everything. Oh, when the flood arrived, it took everything. Oh.
Rick Elias with his demo for When It All Came Down. You're listening to a Ragamuffin Archive Revisited special presentation, Alternate Job, a 10th anniversary celebration. And right now, we're going to play part of a concert that was recorded and uploaded to YouTube by our friend Gary Smoot. This is from a concert that Rick held at the Tudor House in Moline, Illinois, back in October of 2013, just a couple weeks before the album was released. And so we're actually going to get to hear a live performance of one of the songs from the record. But first, let's listen as Rick shares the story of how and why he recorded the Job album.
So, last year, after quite a hiatus, it was suggested to me that I should do another record. It had been about, the last one I had done was with the Ragamuffins when we played for the Pope in 2000. We'd done a record after Rich passed away, but a record on our own, and that took us to Rome, where we played for John Paul II, and that was wonderful. Sort of a natural place to conclude the band, it seemed. And then I just sort of, tried to figure out what I was going to do when I grew up. And I did some label. I was kind of got on the other side of the desk, and I was signing artists and doing some publishing. And Linda and I kind of hit a rough patch. We separated for a while and got back together. And I was just sort of happy, just kind of letting it all go. I was getting older, and everything had changed. And of course, the music business has changed. You really can't make a living at it much anymore. Unless you're Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber, which I clearly am not either. And I was blessed. I still got my royalty money from the movies and some of the work I'd done, but it just didn't make. I was never one of those people that wrote just to wrote, even though I was a staff writer. I always wrote because I felt like I had something to say. If I had something to say, I would write, no matter how stupid it was. And enough time went by, so in the early part of 12, spring of 12, I did a Kickstarter, and I raised a little bit of money. I didn't really know what I was going to write about. I knew I was fascinated with the idea of Job, the idea of suffering, and what suffering looks like now, in particular in our lives, how suffering manifests itself maybe in a more modern or contemporary context, not just sackcloth and ashes, you know. And it's been suggested, rightly or wrongly, I don't know, I'm not a theologian, that, you know, Job might be the very first book that we have of Scripture. And if it is, it would be interesting to think that that's the way God would choose to introduce himself to us, this great parable of suffering and betrayal and faithfulness and all this. So I knew I was really kind of wrapped up in that idea. So I started writing a whole bunch. Now, I didn't want to do the dopey Christian thing, you know, where I'm just taking verses out of the book of Job and just rewriting, putting music to it, with dance beats or something, you know. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be something that I actually wrote that was a rumination, a musical rumination on what suffering might look like. And it could be, you know, the breakdown of a relationship. It could be being lost in a bad, destructive relationship with somebody. It could be a lot of things. Well, we covered, and I knew who I wanted to have it play on. I wanted to have the guys from the choir play on it. Are you familiar with that band? So Steve Hindalong, Tim Chandler, Derry Doherty, engineering. Well, just as we were getting ready to go in the studio and I was finishing up the writing of the songs, I went to a friend's birthday party and came home. And my wife, you know, she just hang a sign out in front of our house that says, "Come in, rape, take what you want. Rape the house, pillage. I won't lock the doors or turn on any lights ever." And I had come home, I'm being funny, but I mean, I came home and there were like no lights on. None. So I park in the garage, I come into our laundry room, and it's like, there's no lights on. I'm just, you know, married guys, you know what I'm talking about here. You think, gosh, how many times do I gotta tell her? You know, and I look at the door, the front door, I bet that front door is unlocked. She's in bed already, right? She's like, "Come on in." You know? And I go to walk over there, and I had put a bass guitar in our front room earlier that day, and it had fallen. And I stepped on it. And in my attempt to try and not step on it and break it with my formidable weight, something happened. My legs went out, pitch black, and I hit right down on a concrete slab. You know, it's hardwood over it, and crushed my left. I was on the floor for like, really, I passed out, and I was there for about 5 minutes. Linda finally came on, "You okay?" It's like, "No, I'm just laying in the front room on the floor. It's great over here. You have lights out. No, don't worry about me. Okay." Anyway, couldn't move my arm at all. Kind of toughed it out. Of course, this happens on Saturday night, right? You know, so Sunday I go to the emergency room, and they give me a couple Lortabs and a sling and X-ray me and take, you know, $3,000 from me. And it was really painful. I didn't sleep for a couple months. Poor Ashley Cleveland asked me to come out and do a gig, and I think with her, and all I was doing was like crazy stand-up material that was really not funny. It was just, I was losing my mind from no sleep. Finally went in, I had to have an operation. So I went in, it didn't occur to me until I was on the gurney. It was the anniversary of Rich's death, 15-year anniversary. I'm sitting there on the gurney that morning going, this is weird. September 19th. Anyway, after that, it was a very, very long recovery, much longer than usual. It was 3 months rather than 6 weeks, a lot of pain meds, a lot of physical therapy, and then my hand was paralyzed, my left hand. And that freaked me out, needless to say. And I'm happy to say it's coming back. It's not all the way there by any means, but it's better than it was when I couldn't even pick the guitar up and play a chord. Couldn't even do that. And you can imagine what that was like being a lifelong musician. I made my living as that forever. It took me till about April to get my hand back. But then I started finishing the record. She lingers alone, and in the dark she waits her cue. She enters from the wings. She's a specter in the footlights. She illuminates the night. She promises everything. So she bows at her reception, clutching roses like redemption, petals falling at her feet. And I admit it requires an exquisite kind of liar, a kind of brilliance to believe. Critics fake some cheap alcohol and mumble clumsy dialogue would never bring her down. She's lost in her soliloquy, a lonely, bittersweet elegy, a love not found. While here in the shadows I'm bleeding, babe, but you can't even hear my voice. And all the world's a stage now. Say your lines just like you mean it. She's the playwright, you're the play now. Say your lines like you believe. Just say your lines and you'll believe. Leave them to their applause and curtain calls. She says the play's the only thing. And it's all such grand theater. When you realize you need her, you'd promise her anything. So for all of our pretending, make believe, happy endings are as fragile as angels' wings. Don't you see, it requires an exquisite kind of liar, a kind of magic, a kind of brilliance, and I It took me a while to convince my thank you. I'll get it eventually. That was not autobiographical. I spent about 2 months telling my wife, these are stories. These are not about us. Really? Why is her name Linda then? Well, I don't think I said Linda in there. It's like, you sleep on the couch tonight. It's tough being a writer.
In the beginning, we laid the foundation and raised the roof. Sawdust and blueprints, wet cement handprints, and God said it was good. You asked me, darling, are we born again? Yes, in your arms, again and again. Now you ask me how I am. How was my day? Like an acquaintance who just happened by and then overstayed his welcome one night. But I remember the moon and stars, the heavens were once aligned. And I still remember when we built this house. Those were the days when grace threw long shadows and light filtered through. Now we see through a haze like smoke from a battle, and ghosts wander every room. I thought we had built this to last, but now I don't know which questions to ask. So you ask me how I am, how have I been? Such a sad imitation. Or do people pretend we're both adults, so let's just be friends? Then I remember your eyes, your laugh, you smiled, and the world was right. And I still remember when we built this. Your spirit will break like your bones from the weight of your sin, and you'll be shaken to the core. You'll search for the place where you once had the faith to believe love was an open door. But these days the windows are shuttered, the weeds overgrown, the furniture's covered, and the doors are all closed. So I ask, how was your day? What did you say? I say it's nothing, and you turn away and close the door. I turn out the lights. But do you remember how the stars once shined? Even heaven was on our side. Do you remember when we built this house?
Rick Elias and his demo for We Built This House. Before that, a live performance of one of the most raw and beautiful songs from the Job album, A Kind of Brilliance. Well, the next song from the record is actually one that Rick released 13 years earlier on the final Ragamuffin Band album, Prayers of a Ragamuffin. And of course, the song I'm talking about is Help Thou My Unbelief. And you know, I was always intrigued by the fact that Rick decided to re-record that song for Job. For one, because it's probably my favorite song from the Prayers record. And two, because, in my opinion, that first recording was pretty much perfect. But you know, Rick gave us a vastly different interpretation on Job, and I gotta tell you, I'm just so happy that we now have both versions of that song, because they're both amazing in their own way. Unfortunately, though, there are two things that I don't have. As I looked through Rick's work tapes, I realized that Help Thou My Unbelief is the only song from the record that Rick did not record demos for. Which honestly makes a lot of sense, really, when you consider the fact that the song had been written more than a decade earlier and had already been released. So there is no demo. And the other thing that I don't have is a recording of Rick discussing why he chose to re-record the song. But I do have an older interview where he discussed what that song meant to him. And despite the fact that this conversation took place more than 3 years before Job was released, I think it gives a lot of insight into why he ultimately did decide to re-record the song. So this is from a 2010 interview that Rick and the Ragamuffins gave on Brian Mason's Nashville radio show. And then we're going to follow that up with the only alternate version of the song that we have, the original Ragamuffin Band recording. Let's listen.
What was the song we were going to play off of the Prayers of a Ragamuffin?
Was it Help Thou, I Believe, maybe?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Help Thou.
Track 5.
Track 5. Got it ready. Tell me about the song.
This is really honestly, this is one of the reasons I took a prolonged vacation from everything, because I really felt like, even though the performance, my vocal performance on the song, I was just ripped up after 3 years of touring and everything. I really should have taken some time off. But I felt it was one of the better songs I'd ever written about my personal faith and how difficult it was to maintain at times. It's called Help Thou My Unbelief, and the whole record was based on prayers. That was the concept of the record. We all kind of went into that and brought our own submissions to it. And I think it's one of the better performances the band did in the studio. So I hope, anyway, it was a dear song to me that absolutely no one but me ever heard.
And now for you folks.
Yeah. So this is its debut.
No, we'll see. This album's what, 10 years
99,
old now? 99.
Yeah.
Okay.
Father, you know me, the seed of your creation, made in your image, with little indication of my poverty. You alone know me, I was knit by your hands and born to a life I can't understand. Still you loved me. Tempted by shadows and scourged by the night, I long for the warmth of the sun, exposing my weaknesses, revealing all lies.
Okay, this is an idea for doing Naked in a bluegrass kind of style as the 8th cut on the album. A completely different way of doing it. Here's how it would go.
It's grown so high, skin for skin, said the devil, said the sun are about to die. And naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will return. My accuser whistles his hangman's tune as the gallows beneath him to burn. It's a bad streak of luck, rolling dice from your left to your right. And you gotta break free, but it won't be here tonight. I heard you say how you wanted this. Don't you see how they've chosen you? You're in the jaws of the soul, and you're like in the chosen few. Temples in the alley performing esoteric rites. Junkies howl, those in the galleries at night, gathering up bright citizens running from the light. I'm just another blind boy, cursed with visions instead of sight. I'm still walking. If I fell down in the city, would I make the slightest sound? On the sidewalk where the saddest of the seraphim are found, where the children of the morning chalk their scriptures on the ground and sing hymns of songs, the voices of the drowned. I hear them talking. Naked I came from my mother, and naked I will return. Use the whistles, his hangman's tune, the gallows beneath start to burn. Joe!
Well, that's the basic idea. I mean, I obviously don't know what the heck I'm doing yet, but let's work that idea out.
Rick Elias with an early, kind of bluegrass run-through of the final track from the Job album, Job Naked. Well, for the past hour, you've been listening to Alternate Job, a 10th anniversary celebration. And that's just about going to wrap things up for us tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We will be back next week at the same time. In the meantime, even though we are finished with all the songs from the album, we do actually have one more song for you. As I was digging through the work tapes for Job, I discovered that Rick recorded demos for another song that did not end up on the album. And it was his version of the classic hymn, Come Thou Fount. So we're going to play an unreleased demo of that song in just a moment. But first, I'd like to read something that Rick actually wrote about Come Thou Fount. And I think with Thanksgiving coming up, this is a very fitting way to end tonight's show. He wrote, "Probably my favorite hymn, acknowledging the complexity of human nature, the hope of divine promise. If only this, instead of simple entertainment, had served as our template. Dylan, Cash, and Cohen were listening, though, along with a few others. This is our blessing. Happy Thanksgiving, all." Here's Rick Elias and Come Thou Fount.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy, never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. And here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I'm come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God, he to rescue me from danger, purchased with his precious blood. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness, like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above.
You've been listening to a Ragamuffin Archive Revisited special event, Alternate Job, a 10th anniversary celebration. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on social media. It's Ragamuffin Archive on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and X, formerly Twitter. And you can also reach me by email at ragamuffinarchive@gmail.com. And of course, you can always leave a comment on YouTube. The song you're hearing is Ted Yoder's rendition of Come Thou Fount from his album Hymns. You can find more of his music at tedyoder.com or on Bandcamp. Join us next time for another deep dive into the archive. I'm Joe Cook. Have a great week.